Can anybody tell me on chat or can unmute themselves? Okay, great. So, okay, I'll just start the explanation. So basically, marketplaces is, a place something like the biggest example would be Amazon or Flipkart or all the e-commerce players that are out there. And every marketplace has two sides, basically the buyer side and the seller side, or the demand and the supply side. And whenever you are starting, such a marketplace related startup or a business as such, you will always face issues in terms of getting either the demand side or the supply side. Because if the demand side is not there, then what will the supply do? And they will eventually drive up because they are not seeing any returns on their time spent or efforts that they are spending on your platform. And another, if the supply side is there, and if the demand is there and if there is no supply, then the customers or whoever wants a service will also eventually just drive off. So it's always tough to start a marketplace during the initial stages. But thankfully, Network Effects has given us this really cool article, some 9 really brilliantly written tactics, which I think are very smart and intelligent. And they have even given examples, so we'll be taking those as well, about how to go about solving a chicken and egg problem. So chicken and egg problem just means basically if you are, which side to fulfill first. So they have apparently invested in 60 early stage marketplace startups, because of which they are able to share these insights. And I'll just go on to the first one. So the first tactic that they have shared is to get the hardest side first. It's very simple, because whenever you are, starting a marketplace, the best tactic would be to tackle the hard problem or the harder side initially, so that you can get the other side very easily and you are able to, start off the wheel. So they have given an example of an RV rental startup. RV is basically, you might have seen those really huge vans where people have created their homes and everything, right? So these RV owners, they had created a rental marketplace where people could rent these RVs. And what they thought was to get the people who sell these RVs, or who are willing to rent their RVs in first place, were lesser in number. And also it was kind of difficult to get them because such a platform did not exist before. So what they simply did was they first got them before, and when other people who were such enthusiasts of living in a van and having that sort of which is very popular in the American and the abroad compared to India. So they got them first, and of course the enthusiast jumped in eventually. And it's very common for such rental related marketplaces to first tackle the getting the supply side first. Such startups tend to get the supply side first, because those who have demand, they see that this is present over there. Same goes for something like Just Style, or something like any backpacking rental related startups also that you will see, which could be applied over there as well. So that's one thing that they have suggested, is to first to tackle the hard side that is available to you. And another side is to appeal to a niche that you have. So for example, like they have given what do they mean by niche, is to, like, when you are a marketplace, you can be a marketplace of a lot of things, right? For just take an example of Just Style. You can just put anything and anywhere thing that you'd like. Craigslist, you can put anything as such. They have given an example of Craigslist as well, where people just put out whatever they want to sell or rent or anything as such. But even these marketplaces, they all started with a niche. They started with one specific segment that they think that they could onboard very easily. So this they have given an example of eBay. So eBay started by with something called as Beanie Babies, and Craigslist basically started as an email list for apartments. And even Airbnb is an example of that. Of course, Airbnb, the whole concept of Airbnb is very niche as such, and now they have gone, generalized it with premium luxury stays and trying to onboard existing premium hotels and all as well, and trying to compete with the likes of Oyo and all. But of course, they started with something very niche called you can just rent your homes. So Uber also started with something known as Rich Bros and were only operating at San Francisco at that time. So that's what this is trying to be like, to try to if you're starting out in one particular industry, marketplace for an industry, you just pick up some niche and just try to repeat it again and again for other aspects of things. Biggest example would be Amazon as well, again, which started with books, and of course Flipkart copied that particular aspect as well. um, Another place, a third tactic that they have mentioned is to subsidize the most valuable side of the market. The biggest example here would be Uber, wherein they subsidized their supply side, which is the drivers. They provided them upfront money, as well as a very small percentage of money was taken from there, from their whatever they were earning. And from there also, right now, of course, that they are being a monopoly right now, and uh, there's a lot tussle going on between them. But how they really started uh, was to onboard these cab drivers first in whatever way possible, so that us customers can always have a cab available. Because for us, that was more important, right? When we open the app, we need the cab right there and there, because that is what they promised. And in order to do that, they had to subsidize the drivers. So in case if you're funded, or you are able to really have the required amount of money in place, then of course you can use this particular tactic. um, Another side, the fourth aspect that they have given, is to look like to ensure that the supply side looks really bigger than it actually is. So the biggest example over here is these startups like Goodreads or Indeed. So what they did was, they first they onboarded, created a lot of data. So Goodreads created a lot of data for books. Yelp did it for the local businesses, and Indeed did it for the job postings that was there. And because of that, when you have a lot of uh, supply side, and by automation, it means that Goodreads was not really manually doing it, or they were not manually doing all these things, but they actually automated the whole thing. Because of which, it felt, for example, on Naukri.com, I'm not sure if they did that, but adding a lot of job postings would mean that this place is the go-to place for doing this particular thing. And because of which it becomes the de facto place to go for those things, which for very much example, Goodreads has become right now. So the key is to like make it look bigger through automation, if that is possible in the marketplace that you are trying to create. And one of the biggest examples, of marketplace, even social media is basically a marketplace. So what they did was, Reddit is the biggest example, because they actually faked their engagement. They created fake profiles and replied fake in their particular platform, and because of which it felt as if they had a good amount of engagement on their particular network. And even PayPal, someone which is like really big right now, they created bots, and on eBay, they whenever somebody was trying to pay, they insisted on paying via PayPal, which kind of created an aura that basically they are the de facto thing being used on eBay, because of which their adoption increased. So of course, but the thing over here is to that they have very clearly mentioned that it can backfire as well. So if one gets caught during the phase when you're doing it, it can give you bad press, because of which people can drive out of the platform as well. So if you're doing this, ensure that you're doing it perfectly. But otherwise, you could use what Goodreads and all did as well, right? So another fifth tactic is to build one site as an email list. So this is something that Product Hunt did. Ryan Hoover, who is the founder of Product Hunt, it's basically a community where people discover new products that are released online almost every day. and he started off as an email list. And there's a very great, article which is written by him as well, about the email first startup. So we, talk about mobile first startups, startups which started from colleges and everything. So he has shared about those startups which started as an email list. I have shared it in the chat. You can check it out. And basically, this particular act thing acts as a way for, because people do open emails as such, right? So one of the best ways and the cheapest ways, in fact, out there to do is to build an email list. The best way would be to start a newsletter, and collect the required amount of people that you have. For in case of product hunt, it first ran Moore himself, scouted for products and shared it as an email list, and of course then urged other people in the subscriber list to share whatever they found, and then he shared that back again as an email to everybody who was out there. And this way, he then later on created a website where people could do that on their own. So that's an example that you could check out. And I have shared the link. He has shared more such startups which did that, and so that you can get more idea as to how to go about that. Um, the sixth tactic is, of course, to host meetups and gatherings. That is something that I at Merrative do as well. I organize such discussions on books, news, articles, and research papers almost every day across variety of topics. And every Wednesday, I select startups and business, as I'm doing right now. So here, basically, you can see, as to how it's very simple. Like it's like basically event marketing only, which people do. And of course, you are, since you're connected directly to the people out there, you directly get the customer feedback, as well as you can build a community around, talk one-on-one with them and everything. So this is something that was done by Tinder as well, that I know about. So they went to these colleges, and these American colleges have a concept of sororities and everything. So basically, they are like clubs within a college institute and all, and they collaborated with them to organize meetups, dating meetups, and networking events within the colleges. And of course, they onboarded the women first. They organized women only events, and when people saw that there were a lot of women on Tinder, so men automatically joined. So that's one of the very clever ways in which Tinder grew up. And of course, they have given more examples of something called Poshmark. So they all organize these posh parties wherein people, guests, they just gathered and exchanged, they did an exchange of fashion, sort of. Basically, it was like a barter thing, that kind of events that they were organizing. And these things are really big abroad. I'm not sure about India as such, but that kind of helped them create a buzz about their particular thing. So this is kind of just like event marketing thing, and that one can of course follow. Um, so this is a tactic 7, which is building a SaaS tool, which we discussed in our last discussion that we had last Wednesday on using side projects for marketing. So here, we did a very good discussion about how one can use, build very small niche tools to, create a very good buzz around your startup. So Unsplash is an example. We took the case study of Unsplash last time, and Unsplash, basically, they just created a tool wherein, not tool, just a very simple website where they posted free photos, and they linked it back to their main product that is there, which is something called as Crew. That was actually their main product, and because of that, they got a lot of traffic on their main product that was there. And one of the biggest, the aspect benefit of building a very small tool, or even the tactic aid that they have given, is like building a software, third party software, is the fact that this is repeatable. People use tools again and again because it particularly solves a problem. I use definitely Unsplash all the time whenever I want to have, use an image. I don't go to Fleetpick or other Shutterstock and all those things anymore at all. So I basically go to Unsplash only. So basically, because of that, compare it to a blog post. that was the biggest learning we had in our last discussion, that a blog post is visited only once or twice or maybe 5 to 10 times if your blog post is really good by a single user. But if you have a SaaS tool or a small software that you are selling as a, not selling, but building as a hook for getting them to your product, then that basically is like a repeated usage by that one single user itself. So it creates a repeated impression, and repetition is key to marketing, right? So so the basically the tactic 7 is around the same. They have given as to how some a startup called Style Seat built reservation software for hairdressers. So they were that's basically a company which deals in the industry of providing stylists. So in order to provide onboard stylists, they just created a reservation tool for these hairdressers and told them that you could use this, and that's how they onboarded these stylists on their platform, instead of going and telling them that, you know what, we have this whole big platform, join us and everything, right? So they built a very small tool and sold that one problem to them, and then they onboarded them on their platform. The very similar tactic is of giving a software to one side of the market, something similar. Instead of a very small tool, you build a proper software. And the why is this different than the tactic 7 is because they have given an example of Android. So Android is a huge, of course, right now it's one of the most mainstream softwares out there. So they directly collaborated with the cell phone manufacturers, who in turn brought consumers like us, you and me, who are using Android phones right now, right? So that created an adoption for Android for them. So that's all very simple, and now they are one of the biggest key players out there, even more than iPhone. So another example that they have given is of MySpace, who gave free profiles to bands, bands who are smaller bands or bigger bands, and because of that, the fans of who are a fan of that band used to join MySpace and discover MySpace in return, right? So this is these are two, basically tactic 7 and tactic 8, in which you could basically build something for your one side of the supply, which they could use, and because they are using that, their own customers come to your platform. Um, the tactic 9 is basically finding one giant user for the initial supply side or the demand. What it means is basically, right now only actually I read how Paytm has become like LIC, which is the life insurance company, biggest in India, has onboarded Paytm as its de facto payment gateway application. So that's really huge for Paytm, right? Because LIC has so many customers, default, and that to those customers which are like, what you say, common users, a common person, from a common person to B2B clients. It has all sorts of clients, right? Because it's an insurance company. And now, hopefully, that would increase the adoption of Paytm. I think it's already well adopted, but even more well adopted than what it is right now because of this collaboration with something as huge as LIC, right? Another example that they have given is something called Candex, which is basically, you know, what they did was they just onboarded a really huge company like Siemens. And what was happening was that in order to do any sort of payment to the vendors which were associated with Siemens, they had to use Candex, right? And that in turn increased their adoption. So just, of course, this is very difficult to do. If you are a startup, you need to be very good or solving a very core problem, because of which a bigger brand like Siemens or LIC would want to collaborate with you in first place, because you need to build that trust that you can handle the large set of users that we have. So that's one thing that is to find one giant user if you can. And tactic 10 is to only make one side change their behavior. So very simple. There is this particular company called Square, which does this point of sale, sort of a system, provides something like that, wherein basically anyone can pay via the credit cards because of their machine that they have. So what did they do? They just basically asked the companies, brands, or the businesses who have such sort of who have such a need, and they convince them to use their product. And since they were using the product, and the other person, which is a normal consumer, is already using their credit cards or debit cards, right? So for us, we just have to provide the debit and credit card and use it like how normally we would. So the supply side is already sorted. They just had to change the behavior of one particular side, either the demand or the supply side, and eventually that changes the behavior of the end consumer as well. You can also take an example of the delivery only restaurants that are there in India and abroad as well. You might have heard of these restaurants which only provide delivery services, right? And they are using very much dependent on these delivery apps like Swiggy and Zomato in order to carry out their operations. So that wouldn't have it been possible if these wouldn't have it existed. The whole delivery concept wouldn't have it existed. So they just changed the behavior of having a concept of delivery only restaurants or anything like that, because of which we users are already ordering via the delivery apps, right? And because of that, it increases their options in the delivery apps of such restaurants who would want to provide such services. So this is also one of the examples that how one side of the behavior was changed, that is our behavior, of the behavior of ordering food from online, and that kind of created this whole emergence of delivery only restaurants who use these apps. So that's one very logical tactic that they have given, and if that is possible in your marketplace, definitely do that. And another tactic 11 is to make something free suddenly. Okay, so no, this is not about giving free just like that. This is about giving free something suddenly which was not free before. The biggest example is all these three examples that are given are really good. Robinhood, which basically makes uh, trading is not free. Okay, all these trading platforms that are out there, they charge certain commission or they charge certain fixed trading fee in order to trade. And what Robinhood did was that you can trade for free. So all those people who wanted to trade same service, nobody's charging them anymore. So they just started using Robinhood, instead of using the whatever trading platform that they were using. And of course, after a certain point, you can start providing them with other services and everything, or start charging them later on as well. Um, Napster was a company which made music free. Music was not free at a time, right? You had to buy CDs or you had to buy it online. Even Apple Music was there where you had to buy one song at a time. But Napster and even Spotify kind of made it very accessible and really, really cheap to access music. Another example is Skype, which is completely free to use, but phone calls and all video calls were not free at that time. So that's one of the ways in which you could, really do. And probably this depends on the business model and all that you have as well. If it works for your business model, definitely you can do this, make something free which was not at all before. So that can be a tricky tactic to use. So think before doing that. And tactic 12 is to make a product first and then open a marketplace. So, Salesforce is the example that they have given, that they basically created a tool first before opening the complete marketplace of all sorts of apps that they have. So if you're using the tactic 7 and 8 that we described before of creating a tool or a very small software for your one, either from the demand side or the supply side, then you could always build over those software and tools in order to create more tools, so that you have a complete marketplace which goes well with your idea or the startup idea that you had. So the same thing over here. Amazon first, started as a retailer, and then it started as a marketplace, right? And now it provides host of services to these retailers and sellers that are out there. There are so many ways in which they earn money. So so basically it's about creating a very small product, basically using the tactic tools and software that we mentioned before, and then grow from there, instead of using it just as a normal tool or something like that. um, Tactic 13 is a very weird tactic actually, which I haven't understood completely, honestly. So basically, what they did, they have given an example of something called Zappos, which is an online, which is related to shoes or something that where you can order shoes and everything. So when the order was being placed, they basically would fulfill order manually. Basically they used to drive to the shoe store, then they used to buy the shoes, and then they used to ship those shoes, right? So they basically what how it helped Zappos, what that initially it kind of they were able to understand the transactions that were happening on their platform, and then they created a product to suit that sort of transactions and all that were happening. So apparently that has also been done by something called eToys. Uh, I think Flipkart also kind of did that. Amazon also went to the bookstores first, bought the book, and then they sold it, shipped it again by charging whatever premium that on all that were doing. So that is one thing you could do it manually if your particular concept of marketplace demands that sort of a thing. Um, I mean, and especially if you're a delivery. So the one thing that is common in this brands examples that are given here is that these are delivery related startups. So if your thing is has that delivery element, then maybe you could do that for your own marketplace. The 14th one is to favor markets where buyers are sellers as well. So the biggest example over here is let's take an example of kind of Misho, because it might, if you know, Misho is a startup in India. I think it has become a unicorn very recently, and they basically provide avenues for anyone to sell whatever is being sold, on their platform. Basically, it helps one create a distribution channel for especially via these housewives and all who have a habit of doing reselling. They kind of automated reselling basically. So here, what happens is that the sellers on the platform are kind of also buyers because they might collaborate with other sellers that are out there to get their raw materials as well. So if you're trying to build a marketplace, if your buyers are also sellers, and your sellers can also buy from other sellers that are out there, that could be great as well. I mean, you can also see Alibaba as that way. If somebody's is trying to manufacture, let's say, a cup, you might require chemicals for that cup, and Alibaba themselves might be having a company out there who are selling that particular chemical that you need in order to make those cups. So that's the kind of logic over here. Also becomes something very similar to how Tinder and all that are there. The people who are there who are trying to get matches on Tinder are also the kind of people who are buying and swiping as well. So that logic is what is being used. So basically, it's the tactic where you just avoid being a marketplace and you just become a one-sided market. But it is two-sided market only, but they kind of merge together. So if you can do that, if your concept of marketplace allows you to do that, if you have a chance of doing that, better go with that so that you can then branch out later on to become a proper two-sided marketplace as such. So 15th is create exclusive access. So of course, I think Clubhouse very recently did that. Make your app invite only. Create that FOMO and all that restrictions and all that are there. Gmail and all those people did that. Superhuman, which is another email related. A startup, they also have this invite only thing, and that's how they started getting a lot of press coverage because of that. I think the latest example would be Clubhouse, definitely. When it comes to doing that, and of course, because of that, everybody wants an exclusive access. So you could create that sort of a thing, and see if your marketplace can have that sort of a thing. Gym khanas and all, have that sort of a logic. Gymkhanas do not allow anyone and everyone to join, right? They just create that if you have this much amount of income and everything, then only you can become a part of our gymkhana, So that's something that can be done. It's pretty straightforward, being used since a very long time. 16th is to set a geographic constraint. So geographic constraint is, especially relevant if your marketplace is having geography related, I mean, if your marketplace is more suitable for a particular geography, you could first work in that geography, and then you could, create multiple such models for other cities and other locations as well. So Lyft did that, Uber also did that. Uber started in San Francisco and then it started growing. And of course, right now it's in all over the places, all over the countries. So nail one particular geography if your marketplace is about related to geography, and then you can scale it up to other particular locations that are out there. I think other the best examples would be such ride-hailing startups, which did that sort of a thing um, to help them get initial traction. 17th would be to create a time constraint. So you might have seen those quizzing apps, which are like the quiz will happen only at this particular time, So those sort of apps are a very good example of creating a time constraint. And what happens that in that, so even if you have like let's say 1,000 users on your particular app, so if 1,000 people come and join your quiz at that particular time, let's say I think there are there's this platform called QuizUp. I'm not sure if QuizUp is the one, but these quizzing and Dream11 are all sort of these apps. They have such time constraint related games, and when people come together at that one time, it feels as if there are so many users on this platform, and to all the people who have joined at that particular time, that's the illusion that gets created in first place. So because of that, people tend to invite, and of course you can pitch your whatever concept that you have at that point to make them invite other people as well. So so that's what this particular tactic means. Like, do you just create, a place or a time where people join in together, and it's like a ritual, creating a ritual sort of a thing. And when you create, if you can club it up with the community aspect and the meetup aspect that was mentioned previously as one of the tactics. So you could create regular meetups at this particular time. I know a community, which basically does discussions almost every day at 10:30 p.m. And people come and discuss startup related news and all as a networking thing. Which I think is very cool. And even though not a lot of people might join at that point of time, but at least they are creating activity, and it increases their daily active users at that point of time. So that is one of the very smart ways I feel, and very underutilized also, that people could do. And of course, you can directly interact with people at that point of time. I also do such discussions at 9 p.m. almost every day with different topics. Yesterday we discussed poetry. Today we are discussing this article. We discussed religion, philosophy, and all as well. So I do this at 9 p.m. almost every day. So it helps me get a lot of signups for my platform, Merrative. I get at least 20 to 30 signups just because of that, irrespective of how many people join at that point of time. But it increases my daily active users as well. So this thing works. At least I can vouch for that. That this works. Um, Tactic 18 is to send a demand constraint. So instead of trying going all over the places to create a market demand and trying to get the market, demand side on your platform, you just create a constraint, that no, hey, not everybody can join, Same tactic as to what we did, what was mentioned here about the geographic constraint, time constraint. This is very repeating, like creating exclusive access. So, so this is basically like a reverse psychology that, what, and not everybody can join a platform. Not everybody can join from every city. Not everybody can join it at any time or something. But when you are small, you create that constraint so that people feel that this is something special and everything. So very similar tactic over here is to create a demand constraint itself. So Groupon, they have given an example of Groupon, wherein they Groupon basically constrained the supply down to one Groupon per day. So they used to just add one coupon on a per day basis. So everybody, people get excited that what is the coupon of the day today. You might have seen a lot of brands doing this deal of the day. Amazon does this lightning deals. You might have seen those lightning deals and deal of the day and stuff like that. So that creates a very good, also reason to reach out to the people who have already signed up on your platform. It creates a FOMO for your supply side and the demand side that is there. So basically, by putting a constraint on the supply, your demand tends to think that this is, something that is restricted. So they will come at that point for sure, to avail whatever that you are giving. I think this is a very smart thing to do, especially if you are a startup around, around such sort of marketplaces like coupons, or even if you're not a coupon related startup or such a startup, but creating something that is only at that particular time or only one at a time can generate a lot of things. I have bought a lot of things on Amazon just because it had mentioned lightning deal on it, because I felt that I was getting a steal, so this also I can vouch that it works. So the 19th and the last tactic is to pay users with token. So here, they have given a very strong line that most people don't want to join a marketplace unless everyone is there. So what you do is that you can just pay people to join. This is probably the last resort that you would want to do, is to pay people to join. I think Medium is an example of that. Medium is, of course, it's not a marketplace, but it's a publishing platform. Until and unless they have very good quality articles on their platform, readers will not join. Readers who are joining can also be writers. They will not write just because they are not seeing a lot of articles being written. So they have paid writers initially, if I am not wrong. They initially paid their writers, in order to convince them to write on their platform. And that's how they generated the content. And because there was this good quality content being generated, even right now you can see on Medium, in case if you don't know, you can check it out. They basically have started with their own publications in the platform so that it encourages everybody to, start their own publications on the platform as well. तो उन्होंने खुद से ही कर दिया. They themselves started all these things. And, of course, that encourages. We also at Merrative have our publication on medium.com. And that, it's helps people, helps you get the initial good quality people. The best part about here is that you get to choose what you want to be there on the platform, and you don't have to, put your efforts all over the places. So, and of course, you can do this if you have funding or you have the relevant amount of money to do that. You can also do it in terms of partnerships. Maybe you don't have to pay people. For example, at Merrative, we partnered with existing communities who discuss movies and films, and other startup communities that are out there who could probably use our platform and the existing audience base that we have. And we targeted those communities which were very new. So we targeted those people because we knew that they also need audience, and we had much greater audience than they had. And because of that, of course, they would be benefited, and we provide them with all sort of mentorships in starting communities and how they can use our platform for creating communities around the content, and so that is also, I feel, at least that's what how we do at Merrative. uh, Partnership, you just partner with existing people out there, see if that could really work out. So that you don't have to really pay them to be on your platform, or you enable them to earn on your platform as well, right? So if somebody is having a course website, right? So you just make the courses paid, and tell them that you will provide them with the relevant users and everything, that you can list your courses on our platform, uh, and that way also you can tell them that you won't charge them. I think Clubhouse is doing that. I'm not sure. But Clubhouse has recently started with payment, like the creators who are doing creating sessions on Clubhouse, they can basically start charging people for attending those sessions as well. And Clubhouse is not taking any cut from it. Okay, I'm not sure if that's the strategy for the long term also, but at least right now they are not charging. And because of that, the complete money is kept by the creators. And because of that, they are able to get the complete money out there compared to the other social networking platforms out there. Especially because there are so many people who are trying to copy Clubhouse right now. Every social network, in fact, is copying the Clubhouse model right now, right? So that could also be one of the ways in which you provide them with your service, but you don't charge them or make it free, sort of a thing for them to use, instead of so that you don't have to pay them to be on your platform. So yeah, that's why I think this is the 19 tactic, that you just play one of the uh, side, or either the demand or the supply side. And yeah, that's it. I will be sharing the link to this particular article on the chat. You can read it at your own pace, and you can decide as to how you would like to really use which of these you could use for your marketplace as well, if you are building one. And thank you to Network Effects for writing this article and helping us understand something that is very crucial for marketplaces, because I just believe that every startup, be it in publishing space or be it actual e-commerce space or any space, are actually marketplaces. There is always a demand and a supply side, right? That has to be created. So you could use it for any concept of startup that you have. You could also look deeper into the examples that they have given. You could research more as to how Napster, Robinhood, Skype, and all, they did executed all these tactics, so that you can look deeper and see how you can execute it for your own particular business as well. And also, the one thing that after explaining this to you all, I have understood that the best, what is so much common in all these 19 tactics, is that they have always tried to constrain one of the things. Either they have tried to create a constraint in one of the things in terms of geography, time, or demand, and all those things, or else they have tried to just cater to one side, and then automatically the other side was coming because of that. Or else, the third thing that I noticed was that they tried to, oh, I forgot the third thing. But basically, they creating constraint, uh, taking care of only one of the sides so that the other side automatically comes. And mm, yeah, I think these two are the only things that they have done. And another tactics, yeah, recollected right now. The other tactic that they have used is to build straight away communities. Okay, building one side email list, doing hosting and gatherings. These are nothing but basically community building techniques, and because of which they could do build their supply side automatically, both supply and demand actually, because of that. So yeah, I think these are the three main, at least I feel, are the roughly the uh, trend that I'm seeing in all these 19 tactics. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can put it on chat and I'll take it up. Uh, or else, if you have your own businesses, you want to discuss how you could use it for your tactic, any of these, we could brainstorm about that as well. But yeah, the session is like completed from my side. Thank you for joining. So Mrunal, Parikh, and CM, if you want to discuss anything, you have doubts, we could definitely talk about it. Thank you, Mronal. Yeah, even I love this article a lot. I have shared the links on chat. I'll be sharing it in the email as well, as a post event thing. Definitely check out more articles, but this is one of my favorite publications, personally, and they give to the point thing. There's no fluff in their blogs. So yeah. Oh yeah, they have. Oh, I did not know they had a YouTube channel, but I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, today I'm going to do that definitely. Thanks for sharing that. Long list. What is long list? Okay, so what do you do, Mrunal, as such? Do you have a startup or what is it that you do? Oh, there's a long list of videos waiting for me. Oh yeah, I mean, definitely, I think I hope I would, enjoy that. Yeah. Um, Working on a B2B platform myself, buyer seller marketplace. Oh yeah, buyer seller marketplace. Definitely, you can. Check out what these topics that you're creating. I think creating a constraint is the best thing out there, and creating a community is the best thing out there. It requires less amount of efforts. I mean, in terms of creating a constraint requires the least amount of efforts. You just tell that, if this is not for everyone, and people will obviously, start being on your wait list and everything. Building communities is difficult, right? And so I think building communities is the second, and third is building, they have mentioned about building tools and CRM and software and all those things. I think that requires considerable amount of efforts. But those things really work, if you are able to execute on those things. So maybe you could use some combination of all of these in order to do that. I'm also building a social network. To me, also getting people on platform is these meetups are one of the ways in which I do that, apart from having newsletters and all. So yeah, oh, my target audience is people, so what I'm doing is, right now my tactic is that I conduct these so basically I'll just tell you, Merrative is a discussion platform. It's a group discussion platform where people can discuss news, books, articles, and research papers together. So if you've read something, you can come and discuss, share your knowledge, or conduct a session like how I am doing, or else you could just discuss normal books, including Harry Potter's or non-fiction books or anything text-based content as such. So what the kind of so what how I am doing it right now is basically I conduct one discussion every day. So on Tuesday we do poetry. On Monday we have another community who discusses movies and web series. Wednesday we discuss anything related to startup. Thursday we discuss a TED talk. So we collaborated with TED circles. So hope that I would get the TED audience, which is an elite audience to me. Friday, we discuss religion and philosophy related stuff. And Saturday, Sunday is whatever the discussions that are organically created by the community themselves. Generally, they happen in Saturdays and Sundays. So, one benefit that I got out of this is that I'm able to get the poetry community on my platform, startup community on my platform, people who like to discuss philosophy, related stuff on the platform. So, alag people come, and anyway, most of the people conducted discussions on Saturdays and Sundays. So my Monday to Friday was most of the time used to be free, and that used to affect my daily active users and monthly active users a lot. So there used to be the spikes on Saturdays and Sundays, but other days it used to be flat. Sometimes flat, sometimes not flat. So that's why I'm trying to do this. You know. Yeah, I am trying to compete. So Clubhouse is an audio-only platform, but yeah, we are very specific on group discussion, and you can do group discussions only by keeping a content as a basis for the discussion. So our target audience is publishers, people who create blogs and want to create community out of those blogs and keep engaging them. Publishers who are book publishers as well, and oh yeah, sure. So do share your idea, whatever you have. I would love to see. Oh yeah, we are working on debates. So we are working on creating debates related competitions. Using these Dare to Compete and all these schools and colleges that are out there. So definitely working on debating. I don't know how the debate really goes. Yeah, winner gets an award. Have to see if I would want to sponsor because I'm not funded. So debate is something that definitely is there on the cards. We want people to come and debate on our platform. So yeah. But winner, yeah, award, I think that can be sorted. We can always collaborate with publishers who want to sell their books. There are so many authors out there who want to give out their books. Yeah, sure. I would love to discuss. Let me know what your marketplace is, and maybe we could even collaborate later on. Brands can use our platform, especially if your brand is trying to educate people. Things like Slack and Zapier do that a lot. HubSpot does that a lot. So such brands can definitely use our platform to engage with our audience. Yeah, I'm